Today's look is messy, casual chic, I guess, because I literally have no fucking time in my life anymore. And I realized I hadn't posted a video yet this week, so hey folks. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about NaNoWriMo. This is probably a little bit of a late video for some of you who have already started writing. It might be just on time for some of you who feel like, yes, I do want another video that is talking a little bit about NaNoWriMo. Or it might be interesting for the rest of you, just in case you want to partake in this at some point. Okay. NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month. Basically, it is 30 days of absolute bullshit craziness. You write with a ultimate goal of having completed 50,000 words in an entire month, the month of November, which probably isn't the best time of the year to do it, just because of how busy Novembers usually are. But anyway, it is a lot of fun. The website itself, I'll leave a link to it in the description box down below. It's got more of the info on it. And it's like a great source not only for keeping track of your own counts, but also talking to other people who are writing, kind of discussing things with them. There's a great forum system on there for discussion questions or pretty much anything you could think of. You can ask questions. I asked questions last year. I got some really great answers, and everything can like try to help you along in your writing process. Basically trying to complete a novel in 1 year. 1 year. In a month. Yeah, completing a novel in a month. Last year, I finally won. After having tried to do this for, I think, about 7 years, pretty much. I finally was able to do it last year. I'm not doing the full thing this year just because I have so much going on, but I am doing a lesser count. I made a goal of 30,000 words and so far have been sucking at it just because of life and anxiety, so that's fun. That's another part of NaNoWriMo, the website. If you don't want to do actual National Novel Writing Month, like the full goal for 50,000 words, you can do your own writing goal of varying amounts. Like I said, this November I am attempting to do 30,000 words instead, which is included in my writing project that I'm working on for the workshop that I'm doing with some friends. Anyway, the point of me rambling on and on about this right now is I was thinking, and this is the part where I said this is a late video for some of you if you are indeed already writing in NaNoWriMo. I was thinking about doing a video about some writing book recommendations. So I have an older video which I will link to this one at the end. And you can see I did like a writer's tag, and I did like a quick tour of all of the writing related books that I own. And so if you've seen that one, you'll probably recognize some of these. But I figured I could just talk a little bit more about a handful of these that I really recommend for your writing process wherever you are within it. So yeah, here we go. So first up, if you are starting a novel and not already partway through it, but even if you are partway through it and you're kind of at a loss and don't know where to go, first I have a couple of books here to recommend for helping you with whatever difficulties you are having, answering some questions that you have, or even if you're like stuck in an outlining process. Even if you're not doing National Novel Writing Month, this is just good for writing in general, pretty much. So the first book I would recommend for this would be How Not to Write a Novel. This is 200 Classic Mistakes and How to Avoid Them, a Misstep by Misstep Guide by Howard Middlemark and Sandra Newman. These books, actually all of these books that I'm going to talk about were textbooks of mine in college, and this was definitely one of my friend's favorites. It is just absolutely hilarious. It is, as it says, a misstep by misstep guide. Things that you really don't want to freaking do. So this has just like a bunch of hilarious mistakes and things that you want to avoid within your book. We've got various guides on characters, complications, and pacing, love interests that you really don't want to do, narrative stances, interior monologue. Yes, setting, and whatnot like that. For example, there's a section right here, a couple sections in here regarding characters. One is a section on the reader will not like your hero just because. For example, he meditates. He's in the middle of reading your own favorite authors. He listens to your favorite bands and knows the liner notes. He's a frustrated writer, artist, singer, or songwriter. He drives a quaint vintage car, which he has named. He can whip up an amazing omelet from quirky ingredients. Then we also have, if there must be a cat, do not for the love of God name it. Magnificat, or similar puns, after a composer, after a writer, after an ancient Greek. Mr. plus adjective plus anatomical feature, e.g., Mr. Prickly Paws, with two or more words, all starting with the same letter, Prickly Paws again, with any names plus the surname of the cat's owner, Bartok Finkelstein, for example. And it's just, so yeah, so it's actually incredibly useful, but it's very entertaining the entire way through, and I definitely recommend this not only as part of your writing process, but if you are just a lover of books, which if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you are. Anyway, this is just a great, wonderful read. But yeah, it's very useful for you're trying to bang out a novel real quick. Another book I'd recommend for the process, although technically you might want to use this for earlier on, like during your outline. But that would be The Writer's Journey, and this is by Christopher Ogler. This is also incredibly useful as well. It is the mythic structure for writers, and this kind of goes through, I said it's the writer's journey, but this actually covers the hero's journey, which is in its varying forms, pretty much all of storytelling. So basically, this goes through the hero's journey, which has been used since like the Odyssey, pretty much. It goes through all these varying stages of the story. You have the ordinary world, so that's usually the introductory part before shit gets crazy. And then there's the call to adventure, refusal of the call, because most people are kind of reluctant heroes at the beginning of the story. Then you have the meeting with the mentor figure, crossing the first threshold, which is like getting personally involved in, like, why they need to go on this adventure, test allies and enemies, things that they're learning, approach the inmost cave, which is the first scent of real danger, I guess, the ordeal itself, the reward stage, which is seizing the sword. Then you have the road back, which is the way they're heading back to the ordinary world from the beginning. They cross into another threshold, which is a resurrection, which is basically them being transformed by their experience, and then returning with the elixir stage, which is basically a boon, a treasure, or some kind of lesson that they are bringing back to the ordinary world with themselves. And that is the hero's journey. There's lots of different examples in here. He references Star Wars a lot, Lion King, Wizard of Oz, and various other movies and whatnot. And then there's like a section that goes into deep more detail depending on which stages in, and there's also a section that goes over the archetypes that are normally within each of these. So you have, for example, the hero, of course. Then you have the mentor, who is usually a wise old man or woman, for example, Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then you have the threshold guardian, who is basically an obstacle. Then there's the herald, who is bringing some type of challenge to the hero, or basically giving them that call to adventure. You've got the shapeshifter, who is someone who is not all that they may seem, obviously. Then you have the shadow, who is like the archetype for the dark side. Then you have ally. Sometimes there's several allies within like a story. You've got the trickster character, who is always kind of interesting. It's like desire for change and energies of mischief, pretty much. And yeah, like I said, archetypes, stages, all of this. It is a thick book, but is extremely useful for the story making process. Usually you kind of use it in like outlining, but it's also a great book to have as a reference when you're working on those various stages of the story. So, and if you are further along within your writing and you're feeling a little bit kind of down, or like maybe it's not particularly going so well, good news is on NaNoWriMo, if you are a part of that, there are always little chats to kind of try to lift your spirits and inspire you a little bit. There's weekly chats by varying writers. But if you are just wanting some other kind of thing to kind of lift your spirits as well, or like I said, you're not technically doing like NaNoWriMo itself, I have a couple of books to recommend for that too. One is Letters to a Young Poet. This is by Rainier Maria Rilke. This is by the poet Rainier Maria Rilke. And then this is a collection of 10 letters that he wrote to a young poet who was asking for his guidance. And I found this particularly heartwarming and comforting when I was back in college and going through a rough patch where I was wondering if I really was studying what I wanted to study and if I was really good at it or if it was worth sticking with my creative writing program or anything. It's really great in the way that he is trying to make this young man feel better about being a writer. And overall, just a very good read. I'd also recommend On Writing by Stephen King. This is his memoir of writing. Basically, this kind of tells his entire story, basically, and his relationship with writing since he was a little kid, and has some traumatic things happen to him that made him turn towards horror as a genre and then eventually begin writing his own stories. There's inspiring pieces in here, such as when he was growing up. Anytime he got a rejection letter back, he kept them each on like a nail or a spike that was driven into his wall. And after a while, the nail pretty much fell down because he had so many rejection letters in there. It was so heavy. But he kept writing. He kept it up all along. He was basically working a really shit job. There's details about the shit jobs that he worked and kind of the bad places that he and his wife and kids were in by the time that he eventually got published with his first book, which was Carrie. And it's very inspiring because he never really gave up whatsoever, and It's just kind of that whole struggle of creative impulse and also giving up if it's something that you truly know you are meant to do, something that you love doing, like he does with writing. And overall, it's just delightful, and it's Stephen King, so you know there's just ridiculous things happening within this. So, yeah. And then if you have blessedly finished your novel, I have a couple of books that I can recommend for that part too. So you've made it to the end. At that point, you're getting ready to think, maybe do I want to actually get this published? Well, you should probably have something such as this, which is formatting and submitting your manuscript by Chuck Sampuccino and the editors of Writer's Digest. This is a visual guide that goes through pretty much everything you'd want to know. Do you want to write short stories? They've got do's and don'ts. They've got cover letter information, query information. Here is, for example, synopsis analysis and stuff like that, things to do and to not do, how you should do your query letters. There are example pages for all of these things. There's also information on screenplays and poetry and everything. It is just a handy dandy thing to have, and I absolutely 100% highly recommend this, especially if you are very serious about getting your work out there. This is a great guide to kind of getting it ready for the professionals, so that they will take you seriously. And the last book that I would recommend, I wouldn't recommend this exact thing because it's old, but it is The Writer's Market. This bad boy is your most trusted guide to getting published. As you can see, this is the 2017 version. I do not recommend getting this version. This is just the last one that I bought. This is what I have. This one gets a little bit pricey. It is $30 American. It says it's about $38 for Canada. Sorry, I'm not sure what it's priced elsewise in the world. You might be able to find it for cheaper somewhere, but as it does come out every year, you want to make sure you get an up-to-date version because things change. So this is just an absolutely great guide. It does have, you know, query letter clinic. It has some more information about, query letters and promotions for publicity and stuff like that. It also has a guide of, once you get to be an author, how much you should charge for varying things. Also, suggestions on literary agents that you can contact. And then it also has lists of book publishers. So just list upon list of book publishers. Then you have consumer magazines from various themes, whether it be sports, religion, literary magazines, hobby and craft magazines. There's like teen stuff in here. If you remember, like, have 17 magazine or like Girls Life and stuff like that would have little short stories or like clips from longer stories in there. This is, where you would find, hey, what story is acceptable for that magazine or something like that. And then it goes into also contests and awards, things that you can enter to try to put your name out there. It sometimes helps when you're trying to get published if you've been recognized in other ways. For example, have you been trying to enter any slam poetry contests? Have you performed any out loud at varying places? Have you won any contests or awards for books, poetry, plays, short writing, varying things like that? This has information on how to do all of that. And it's just a really great guide to kind of help you along in that next step. Trying to find someone who will publish your shit. So yeah, that's basically everything that I would recommend writing wise for either this month or any month, really. Anytime that you want to really start getting serious about writing something down. I can't say I'm like a huge expert because I still have not been published and I haven't won any contests yet. And yeah, but I mean, I did go to school for this and I won Nano last year, so please maybe listen to me. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not like an expert or anything, but yeah, these are just my little recommendations and tips for you. I hope that your writing month is going much better than mine right now. But yeah, I hope you're having a good writing month, you're reaching your goals, and that you're having a good week too. I'll see you in the next video, y'all. Bye.